You need to do an intro because have I got something to show you?
Me too. We're both sitting over here like, do the damn intro. I got something cool.
I keep looking at it. I'm like, I want to say, I'm like, I can't say anything till she's a fucking intro.
All right. Let me put my serious face on. Hold on.
It's witchcraft.
Hey, it's 4:20 a.m. Hi, and welcome to episode 61 of the Stoned Witches Hour. On this podcast, two ganja smoking witchy goddesses get together to tell each other creepy tales of paranormal happenings, ghastly ghouls, and haunting true crime. Getting higher than a proverbial kite, I'm Layla.
And I'm over here we had a listener that what do you call us? Getting higher than a rhino?
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
smoked enough to kill a rhino.
I'm
That's
over
what he
here
said.
smoking enough to kill a rhino tonight, folks.
Yeah.
Like rhinos are dying from trying to keep up with smoking what I'm smoking tonight.
Well, I can barely contain myself, Shell, because I want to show you something. So before we get into mine, what the fuck are you smoking?
Okay, this, first of all, this is almost half a story in and of itself.
You
So
have something to show me too?
I have a couple things, and one of them is what I'm smoking, and half of
Ooh,
it's just the name. So
okay.
remember last week when I told you I veered off course and have hit and kind of stumbled upon a new store.
Yes. And they were very, very cheap, and you were loving it.
We all know you have known me for so many decades. You know that sometimes I have gone quantity over quality.
Oh, absolutely. You are a size queen. It's true.
But this, it was high quality, high quantity, low prices.
Those are all my favorite things. Shell, what have you got?
Who smoked enough to come up with this name? Okay.
Well, you and I have gotten pretty high and come up with some pretty wild names, so hopefully it's as good as something we come up with.
This is actually not something you and I would have come up with. This
Ooh,
is something that probably the men in our lives would have come up with.
uh-oh. Good thing we have a not safe for work rating.
This is called banana pudding.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
now, now, I must
Hey.
I must note that I am saying this properly. It's not banana pudding tang. It's pudding tang. Ends with an N. Puddintain. Banana
Puddintain.
pudding tang.
Puddintain.
Now,
Mm.
I'm here at the store looking through the menu, and we all know it's Shell. Come on,
Oh, yeah.
folks. I'm looking at THC numbers,
Yeah.
but
You're also like a good name. You do like a good name.
there is the occasion where I see a name and the number don't matter. But listen up, friends. Not only did I get an ounce of the banana pudding for the low price of 215, which in Massachusetts
Ooh,
isn't that
nice.
cheap. Because remember I was doing the 8 for 288, so 215. Come on
That
now.
is cheap.
So my banana pudding, my ounce was 215, and this shit has. So remember I told you about the labels last week. Total cannabinoids 31.25. So we got THCA 30.10, THC 9.44. Now, because I have chronic back issues, which blow,
Mm-hmm.
it actually has a CBDA of 0.10. So I'm getting high, my back's feeling good, and it tastes good. It doesn't taste like banana, god damn it. That makes me sad. Why would you call it banana and not make it taste like banana?
You hate that when something has a fruit name and it doesn't taste like that fruit.
Anything called grapes, you make me angry.
Yeah, that's one of Shell's big no-nos. Don't name it after a food unless it's going to taste like that food.
That's why I like the lemon stuff because it actually tastes citrusy. But high THC, rockin' name, low price. And I got a 10% off coupon for my next purchase.
Sweet, fucking sweet. Even better, a deal. Who doesn't love that? Okay, it doesn't taste like bananas. Does it taste like pudding?
Yeah, I'd say it tastes like some pudding, sure.
Nice. Very nice. You getting pretty high? I see you got some glassy, squinty
Very
eyes
high,
over there.
very high. And one thing I've started to notice, store-bought weed has to be ground. You can't stuff and pack with these. Like me in my old days, this can't be stuffed and packed. You have to grind it. Bottom
Much
line.
denser, much denser nugs. That is the popular way to go. So that's what they're going to sell. Plus, I really think a lot of East Coast weed is kind of stale West Coast weed. And so it's kind of condensed down, it's drier.
Listen to your elite self. Oh, your East Coast weed is just our leftovers from the West Coast. Like,
Well,
no.
hey, if the old weed fits. But not all of it. I know not all of it is, especially in Massachusetts. You guys are fabulous for people growing seed to sale. Same place grows it and sells it. So I know I'm talking a little bit out my ass there.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if this store makes this weed. I have no idea.
The popular one now, whether it's dry or not, I'm just kind of being an asshole. But the popular way to do it now is to grow. It's the denser, stickier, harder nugs. That's what people expect to see.
Like we've talked about in previous episodes, people are looking for pretty. I just want to get high. I don't give a shit if I'm getting popcorn nugs or an
Yes,
eighth and one big nug. It's like the visual is what's important to them. I don't give a
100%.
shit. I don't give a shit.
I don't give a fuck. You and I have found some damn good deals on smalls because people want the big, pretty bud in the little tiny glass jar.
Right.
And so I'll buy pre-ground, I'll buy smalls all day long. If it's got the taste and the THC, I am so there. Don't care what it looks like.
You know how I look at pre-ground? Hey, you saved me a step. You saved me a step. Thank you.
Exactly. I used to be a snob and I would not touch pre-ground. I was sure that it was just their leftover leafy shake that was going to be shit. And I have not been disappointed yet.
Yeah, no, I think they're just paying someone to sit in the back of that warehouse with a big old grinder and just
Right?
popping butt and like grinding that shit all day long.
I think you're absolutely right. And I'm sure it's going to depend on where you go. Make sure you go to someplace reputable.
Right.
But the places that I've gone to and gotten pre-ground have been fantastic.
So I have to mention this. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's absolutely a visual and that's not fair to our listeners. But, I've gone on and on and on almost since day one about this silicone pipe that I can't get my hands off it. I was such a glass person. I was such a glass snob, but you give me an unbreakable pipe with a cap on it. That's like
So nice.
gold, man. That's gold. So, I've given this thing the good life that it deserved. So I went to the store this weekend.
No, you retired just that. You've had that silicone pipe. That's practically an extension of your hand.
I know, right? Right? I got a new one.
No way. Oh, I gotta see this. Is it cute? Is it bigger? Is it different?
See, my favorite color is green.
Absolutely. Always has been.
Always has been. So I have to go with it. So, my traditional, I had the original green and black,
Yeah.
which you can see I have a little resin stain on the top of
On the
cap.
top.
And these silicone pipes, they're pretty much the size and shape are the same. You're not really veering far from that. But this is like a lavender and neon green.
Look how pretty. That looks like a pretty spring crocus flower right there. Look at you with your new spring pipe. That's beautiful.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, that looks like one of those snow crocuses. I actually haven't smoked it yet and was going to.
It is pristine, clean, beautiful.
I just purchased this like 24 hours ago and I have not packed it yet and was actually going to pack it while we chat tonight with my banana poo-tang.
I fucking love that. That's awesome. You're going to christen your pipe on air. Fuck yes. Bring it.
For all of our listeners out there, lavender and neon green pipes, they actually work. It actually works together.
It's so pretty. It's so spring-like.
And like I've said 1,000 times before, you can't go wrong with a pipe that has a cap. So you can cap it, put it in your pocket for on-the-go life.
So nice.
So now you said that you had some surprises. Do tell.
Well, I've mentioned before a delivery service that I've started using while I'm here called Hotbox.
You've mentioned it a few times.
Love their stuff. Great customer service,
I just love their name. If you're
right?
going to call yourself Hotbox, I'm buying, friends.
They've already started their 420 specials, and they actually have a box,
Like, what do you mean a box?
like a box
Oh my God, that's like a shoebox.
of weed. It's gorgeous. It flips
I gotta say,
open.
folks, I gotta say, folks, I know you can't see this, but I like the sexy devil girl on the box.
She's hot. We should put some pictures up on our Instagram. Inside this beautiful box are 9 jars
What?
of different kinds of top shelf weed.
No, wait. Did you get to pick, or was it random?
They have 2 different boxes. One is their upper mids and one is their top shelf. And the upper mids was
Wait,
on,
you got 9/8?
yes.
Do you know here in Massachusetts you can't get more than an ounce in?
Okay, so they have 2 different ones. They had the top shelf and then they had the upper mids. And I did end up going with the upper mids. And the reason was because the top shelf was $420 for just over an ounce, 420 for like an ounce and a quarter is what it came out to, the weights. It's about an ounce and a quarter. So not too bad, actually. Pretty damn good price. The upper mids that I got, again, an ounce and a fat quarter. On sale, I paid $130 for this.
I can't speak. What?
I know.
You paid what?
130 bucks.
What?
I was just going there to buy an ounce and I was going to spend about 120 bucks on a upper mid ounce.
Wait, did they also deliver this to you?
They did, right to the door where I'm staying. And
you got 9/8 for 130 bucks delivered to your door.
They're fatter than eighths. They're bigger than eighths. So it comes out to be like an ounce and a quarter
I
total.
don't have words.
Yeah. And I got it delivered.
I don't have words.
On sale for $130. I could not pass that up.
Now talk to me about how it smokes. Is it worth, like, I have no words. Like, what is, like, is it good? Like what?
It has been an absolute dream. I started in the top left corner with Trainwreck, and then I move on to my next one, which is London Pound Cake and Gelinade 2, which you know I love me some gelato. The next row, we've got some Jack Hare, another favorite of mine, Ruthless, Gary Payton Outdoor. I have no idea who Gary Payton is. Never had that before.
Or why he's outdoors.
Cherry Bomb, one of my current favorites. Gushers. And then last but not least, Octane. So I have been having an absolute freaking blast trying each and every one of these different cultivars. And I love the box. I love the jars. I'm going to reuse it. And I'm getting fucking high because this is fabulous. It's like a charcuterie board of weed. And I wish you were here to share it with me. I'm so sad you're not here.
I wish our listeners could see my face right now because I just had to pick my jaw up off the floor.
Upstate New York represent. Thank you so much, Hotbox. This is an amazing, amazing deal. And I cannot believe the prices. It's blowing my mind right now.
I have no words.
Who knew that New York State would come through like this? I mean, I fully expected that they would go the other way. I thought that being this new in their whole recreational stage, that they'd be at the $300 mid-range, the $250 mid-range ounces.
Oh no, they're okay. In true New York fashion, and I can say this is a 4-decade New Yorker. They're just trying to suck you in so that once they got you sucked in, they're going to go up to $500 an ounce. That's the New York way.
It's quite possible. Thankfully, most regions don't go that way. Most of them don't. Hopefully here in New York State, it won't. I do believe they're going to start having consumption lounges in the local area. They've been approved to have consumption lounges where you can bring your own and just kind of hang out and smoke there. I'm really loving the culture. I also hope I'm here long enough. There's something called the Lilac Craft Fair here in Rochester, which is a cannabis farmers market.
Are you shitting me?
I am not shitting you, Shell. They have farmers from all over upstate come to this craft fair. They have local dispensaries come. It's just an amazing, amazing time. They even have a quiet hour shopping before it gets super busy and they have the bands and everybody comes. So if you're, if you want to just go get if you're like me, you're a little introverted, you just want to go get your good fucking weed, maybe talk to a farmer or two and get the fuck out before there's too many people, you could do that.
I can't hear this anymore because
We left New York, Shell, and it got really great as far as cannabis goes. I am super impressed.
I mean, I've never in my life really had a whole heck of a lot of wonderful things to say about the great state.
Right? But anyway, I'm going to start with some Gelinade too. And my stories today are actually starting in New York. And one of them turned out to be a real bummer. So I'm packing some amazing weed.
Well, I guess I'll just stick with my banana pudding. Darn. I want a hot box. Hot box, come to Massachusetts. I'm begging you.
So I'll have to get another one. Hotbox, I'll be calling you up for the beautiful 420 version. And we'll bring that over and share a charcuterie board of high-end weed with Shell.
Ah! Oh my God.
We should totally do that, actually. We should get together again, and I'll grab a hot box, and you grab some weed from one of your favorite places, and we'll just sit there, and we'll just, like, the whole episode, we'll just, like...
Smoke and giggle.
We'll talk about some of our own ghost stories. We'll try, an EMP session or an EMF session. What is that where you try to... EMF session? Like the word thing? We'll do some EMF ghost hunting, try to find some ghosts while we smoke a shit ton of weed from Hotbox and from your new favorite place.
I just have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to be like our Ouija board episode of Fuck Around and Find Out.
I have a feeling we would probably get a lot more. I have a good feeling about it. So I'm smoking the Gelinade 2 right now. And this is really, I thought it was the octane at first because it has that, when you like smell gasoline,
Right.
it has that taste, that really high octane kind of taste, but delicious. Very, very good.
Oh, and I would like to point out to everybody, we've said this before, generally, due to my location, I do the majority of my smoking prior and after, and don't always have the chance to smoke during recording. Whereas Laylla puffing on that bong like it's her job. But tonight I am actually I am recording in a location where I can smoke while we're recording. So that's contributing to the highness. But yeah, I'm just happy that I'm actually able to smoke with you tonight.
Me too.
Yay!
Love it. So my story this evening is another Lady in White story.
You and your damn Lady in Whites. Like,
I love it.
I think it's an obsession.
It is. At this point, it absolutely is an obsession. And someone should probably suggest something different because I have like 3 more Lady in White legends lined up.
Please, people, give her other ideas.
Give me a different suggestion.
If she tells one more Lady in White story, she's gonna be the next Lady in White.
Ooh, that's creepy. Ooh, that's dark, Shell. That's so dark. So this is in Rochester, New York, which is upstate New York on the shores of Lake Ontario. And this also happens to be the home of the Fox sisters. If you are into any type of spiritualism, the 3 Fox sisters practically
invented.
Yeah,
almost.
Spiritualism
Yeah.
in the United States. They like helped spread it across the whole US. But it also is the home of a local legend called the Lady in White of Durand Eastman Castle.
Ooh, is it a real castle? You know I love castles.
Well, we'll get there. So this kind of goes along it with one of these stories is a bummer, and that's why I got a second one. But anyway, Rochester, New York is very, very old, like many parts of New York. And Durand Eastman Park was purchased in the early 1900s by a Dr. Henry S. Durand and his friend George Eastman. And so they bought up a whole bunch of farms in the area and some swampland that was on the edges of Lake Ontario and turned it into a park for the neighborhoods. Legend has it that there was originally a castle, a very large, grand house in that area. And a woman named Alyssa lived there with her husband and their daughter. Rumor has it that the husband either cheated on the wife and took off, or just abandoned his wife and family and left. The mother, Alyssa, became very, very bitter.
Well, of course, because he was a dick.
Right? So this extended to her daughter. She was desperately afraid that her daughter would leave her. And so she was very, very overprotective, particularly about men. She told her daughter repeatedly, men are going to leave you. They're going to break your heart. They just want to use you. Don't trust men. Now, of course, the daughter, being young and beautiful, had to go out, was constantly out, had a lot of suitors, and didn't really want to listen to her mother. She became a little too interested in a local boy, and her mother locked her in a room in the castle and forbid her from seeing this boy. And to make sure,
Sounds very like Rapunzel to me.
very much so, to make sure that her daughter didn't escape and that no boys came on the castle grounds, she got two large dogs and would often patrol outside the castle and along the lake shore. Now, of course, the young daughter, being very resourceful,
Befriend the dogs and get out.
That's right. Get the fuck out. Not keeping us there. And no one was keeping our Rochester Rapunzel in the castle. She decided she's getting the fuck out. The mother discovers she's gone and tears the castle apart looking for her, and then starts looking for her on the grounds of the castle and all along the lake. She's distraught. She's upset. She is livid with rage, cannot find her daughter anywhere. Now, the legend differs here. Some say that the mother did find the daughter and her lover, and the dogs tore the boy apart, and she locked the girl in the tower until she died.
That's frickin' vicious. Jesus.
Right? Some say she never found either of them ever again. Some say that she found them and the boy was raping the girl. So there's a lot of different things here. But most of them say that the girl either died or was never seen again. And the mother, in her sorrow and in her grief, continued to walk up and down the shores of the lake and around the grounds of the castle relentlessly all day and all night with her dogs until she passed away of grief. Then after her death, people would continue to see her all in white with her two white German shepherds or two white Dobermans coming from the lake or walking up the beach and walking around. The legend goes even further to say that if she sees young couples come to this park, after the houses were torn down and it was turned into this park by Dr. Durand and Eastman, people would continue to see her ghost, and young couples would go there in the 20s and 30s to make out. And this ghost, if it came upon a young man and a young woman, would attack the man. And so there's several stories of her attacking young men in the woods that have gone there with their girlfriends. The legend continues to this day. People continue to say that they see the lady in white coming from the lake. So this is a pretty popular park, and you can see the walls. These are the ruins of the castle.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Looks like a foundation, like the first floor, all stone of a castle. And there's even like a round tower part of this wall.
Probably the base of it, probably like the quote unquote cellar area.
There are some rumors. I did ask quite a few local people about this legend and if they'd ever seen the ghost. And a lot of people have heard of it, including from the Irondequoit Historical Society. And there's also ghost hunting tours that go on in the area. And they have also spoken about the lady in white here. So a lot of people talk about this lady of the lake or lady in white by the lake. There's only one problem.
But
as you know, Shell, almost all of these lady in white stories follow a similar path. And this story follows the path. A relationship problem. Then she lost a child. Both of those are lady in white tropes. These are lady in white traditions, right? However, they all usually have a kernel of truth. They all, like the Devil's Elbow one, you found a woman had been murdered and her husband had been murdered there. The Texas lake, a woman had drowned. They have a story where it began. Maybe the sightings are or aren't true, but there's always an actual event that precipitated the legend. This one doesn't have one. No one can find any evidence that anyone died there, that anyone's daughter disappeared from there. And the castle, it was built in the 1930s
What?
to be part of a concession stand.
What?
The popular style at the time was to build some of these park features in like a Spanish style. And so they built it to look very imposing and in stone. But on top of it was just built a little wooden concession stand. And it was a picnic area for people to come on the park to hang out by the lake. It was never a castle, not even a grand house. It's just a picnic area. And when the concession stand burned down, they just never replaced it. No one died there. There is no lady. There was no great lady. I'm pretty sure from all the research I could do, and I corroborated this again with the Historical Society in Irondequoit, which is right next to Rochester. And while I could find a lot of people that were told the story, most people were told the story either by a parent to get them to stay inside their tent when they went camping, or to not go there with their boyfriend, or they were told by a brother or a sister to scare the pants off them.
Right, right.
But I could not find any firsthand accounts of anyone seeing a ghost there. Just slightly different versions of the same kind of story that's always been told. So I'm pretty darn sure that this is a dud. It's just an urban legend that grew up around possibly the castle and possibly because it was a makeout spot in the 60s and 70s.
Everything goes back to a makeout spot, a dating spot. Let's go park.
Right? Exactly. So I was kind of disappointed that my Lady in White story here was just a big flop.
Right.
And then I remembered that not too far from here is a cemetery where I actually had a paranormal experience. Well, someone I was with had a paranormal experience.
Oh,
So when I was in, I think it was in middle school, not even a teenager, probably maybe a tween, I was at a sleepover at a friend's house and a bunch of us were together. And she had an older sister who decided to take us all out to a cemetery in Penn Yan, New York. This cemetery was home to a very mysterious headstone of a woman named Matilda Gillette. Matilda, or Tilly as she was called, lived between 1859 and 1936, as it says very clearly on her headstone. But shortly after she was buried there, in the granite of the headstone, a woman's head appeared. A face appeared on the granite.
that's weird.
Right? So the family tried to buff it out and it came back.
Oh, weird.
And then weird things started happening there. Like a boy spit on it and then he tripped shortly after that and broke his arm.
Oh.
Another boy kicked it and then later that same day broke his leg.
Oh,
I know some people would talk about having parties there. And I know some people would like pour alcohol on the stone, kind of laughing. One guy in particular who said he did that, the very next day, he caught like the worst case of the flu ever. He was like puking. He could not keep food down for like a whole week.
ah,
So the theory is, I guess Tilly had a bad relationship with her husband and he had died before she did, but she still never forgave him. And she vowed to like haunt him forever, I guess, which doesn't really make sense since he died first, but that's how the story goes. Shortly after she died, that face appeared. I'm going to share my screen with you again so you can see this because it's really freaky. And of course, my friend's sister is regaling us all with all the times that she or her friends have been to this stone and something weird has happened. We don't all entirely believe it. So we get to this cemetery and we're walking around and here's the Gillette stone. And can you see this here, Shell?
yeah. What
I'm
is?
going to like, this is her hair. This is her neck. She's looking up.
I see it. Yeah. Oh, that's weird.
Right? So you can clearly see her face. So when we went there, we all kept daring each other to touch the stone or to go up to it. And I wouldn't. I could feel a vibe.
Right, right.
It was different. Now, at this time, I had started being I was a wannabe photographer and I was big into taking black and white photographs and doing all sorts of, pictures like that in graveyards. Most of the time I wasn't scared. I liked graveyards. They didn't creep me out or anything. It was just a quiet, nice place to be for me. So it wasn't that I was in a graveyard and I was spooked. This grave and gravestone definitely had an aura about it. I wouldn't say evil or bad. It was just really, really creepy and felt like something was there. So I wasn't going near it. And you have kind of disappeared.
That was weird.
What happened?
I don't know. You were talking and all of a sudden it shut off and just said connecting.
That's so weird. So I showed you the face.
You showed me the face and then you said that you didn't like the vibe, so you wouldn't touch it. You were getting kind of sketched out.
Yeah, so I was totally sketched out, not going to touch anything. I'm not going there. So my friend whose sister had brought us there, she was kind of a badass. She reminds me a little bit of you. And so she went right, except I don't think you would have been this dumb, even at like 12 or 13 years old. She went up to this tombstone and said something basically to the effect of, I don't fucking believe in ghosts, and slapped the face.
Oh shit. Yeah, no.
I could feel it. It's like a bell rang in the cemetery, and I could feel the reverberation go through my body. I can almost feel it now just talking about it.
I hope you ran.
It's strange because one of the kids with us did, and it literally was not physically that loud. When she slapped the stone, it was just like a slap sound against the stone, but it was almost like the air rang like a bell. It was very, very strange. And one of my friends kind of fell backwards and took off. He was that scared. Anyway, so nothing else seemed to happen, and we kind of continued to tease each other as we're leaving the cemetery. Just before we get to the car, my friend screamed and put her hand up to her face. I look at her as she's screaming, and her whole side of her face flushed bright red. Just one side. And it was the weirdest thing. We're all like, what happened? What happened?
Slapped back.
I thought maybe she'd gotten stung by a bee or something. No fucking joke. When that redness went down, she literally had a welt handprint on her face. Like someone had slapped her back across the face.
Now, if that's not a fuck around and find out moment, nothing is.
I have never seen a ghostly repercussion that fast, probably before or since. It still to this day blows my mind.
When the welt came,
And it looked just like a handprint.
oh shit.
5 fingers and all.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so we never went back.
She kind of cursed herself on that one.
She really did. So the white lady was kind of a flop, but it's not too far from the Penn Yan Cemetery where you can go see the face in the grave on Matilda Gillette's grave. And I'm not exactly sure what the curse is, but the face is definitely there, and it seems to keep coming back despite the fact that they have changed the stone more than once and they keep trying to buff it out. But I would not fuck around and find out with it because that one's pretty potent.
Yeah, right? Jeez. Wow.
So there's my stories for upstate New York. And I swear, please, someone send me a direction to go in so I can spare Shell the like 50 million Lady in White ghost stories I have lined up.
Lord. Or she's gonna just start talking about orbs again, I think.
Right? I'm so disappointed in this Lady in White story. I'm ready to go in a different direction, I think.
You know, I came across this place called the Old Pink House. This is down in Savannah, Georgia.
Shell, I'm sensing a theme here. We've got the banana pudding and a pink house.
In a pink house.
Or am I reaching?
You're reaching.
It's spring. I'm Twitter pated. What are you going to do?
This house actually predates America, folks.
What?
A pink house that predates America. This house was built in 1771. And
they painted it pink?
Well, actually, no. And there's a story. That's part of it. I'm getting there.
Okay.
It is pink, but they didn't paint it pink, but it is pink. It was actually a Gregorian style mansion. Like I said, 1771.
Ooh. Okay.
And I can't remember the year, but there was, have you heard of the big Savannah fire where like pretty much all of Savannah, Georgia burnt to the ground?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have heard of that.
This was one of the only buildings in the whole city to survive.
Oh, wow. Okay. So very old house, and it survived the Savannah fire?
It did, but that kind of plays into some of the hauntings. It was originally the home of Joseph Habersham. How do I get the bad names that I can't pronounce? Joseph Habersham he built this house originally, like I said, 1771, and he lived there until he died in 1802. First of all, one of the stories goes that he hanged himself in the basement.
Oh, that's gruesome.
So there's that. And people who go in tragic ways tend to
Leave
hang
a
on.
residue.
Right, right. He kind of had a weird story that is sad. This guy was like a big, huge monarchist, came over from England. He came to America. He supposedly sent the first bales of cotton back to England, very loyal to the crown, very, very loyal, and was very proud of it.
Okay.
So he had two sons, and as fate would have it, his sons were a part of the opposite side of the Revolutionary War. It kind of came down to father against sons and sons against father.
Yeah.
So it is one of the themes goes, because you know how some of these stories are, you get different views on it. But
Sure.
one of the stories was he was so distraught by the sons, which back then that was kind of life changing, that he just, got a rope and that was that.
So the theory is that he was so upset that his sons were on opposite political sides that he offed himself in the basement.
Well, and it probably didn't help that his sons ended up on the winning side.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
That's kind of a buzzkill. When you're trying to sway your children and make them do what you want to do, and then in the end your children are right, that's a tough pill to swallow.
That's true.
And this guy had a hard time. So he hangs himself in the basement, and then one of his sons takes over the house. Then there's the fire, the Great Savannah Fire. Currently, there's a tavern in the basement. So picture this basement made out of stone, huge enough to present day have a bar there, basically.
Okay.
So they kind of used that because it was one of the only buildings left standing. They kind of used it as like a triage center, like a makeshift hospital. And a lot of kids that were brought there from one of the orphanages that burned, the children died there.
Oh, oh, damn. I can't even imagine, like, during this whole, like, the whole city is fucking burning, how terrified everyone must have been. And then to bring the wounded to this place.
It sounded like a lot of patients, whatever you want to call them, that were brought there were kind of mainly children.
Hmm.
And unfortunately,
Makes it even sadder.
that they were from a nearby orphanage. And so, these kids kind of didn't have a chance because, orphanages back then, there was no, fire escapes, and there was
No.
probably one entrance, several floors, lots of stairs.
And honestly, the kids at that time were not the priority of the people that were there. So they probably
No.
weren't even trying, you know?
And also some of the folks that were trying to fight the fires that had succumbed to whether it be the smoke. You got the guy that hangs himself. You got a bunch of kids that died there because of the fire. You got some firemen that died there. So as you can imagine, kind of unpleasant happening is going on here.
Yeah.
It had then been converted over the years into a tavern in the basement. That is actually still the case today. There is a restaurant slash bar in the basement and kind of a B&B on the top. But what happened with the color thing, you had asked if it was painted pink.
Yeah. How did it get to be pink?
They built this house, and back, when they were doing these Gregorian mansions, they were built out of bricks. And where this was located and where they harvested the material for the bricks was a very rich, rich red color. They build it, decide that, they don't want it, the brick color, so they paint it white. A lot of those Gregorian mansions were white back then. Well, in places like where I'm located in the Northeast, bricks are bricks. You paint it white, it's white. Well, because of the richness of the red, no matter how much white paint, enough of the red bled through to make it look pink.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and even to this day, it is still a pink house. But in the 1930s, they decided to just start painting it pink. Now it is actually painted pink. But the reason it was originally called the pink house was because from the time it was built in 1771 up until the 1930s, it was literally just because the brick would bleed through the white.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. I mean, a little creepy given the fact of how many people, died there during the fire, but interesting.
On a science level, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Preservation efforts and how the historical societies take over places.
Mm-hmm.
Once they got their hands on it, it became painted pink from there on. But when you look at pictures of it, it's just got this air of sadness about it. It kind of reminds you of, we did our Mardi Gras New Orleans episode. It looks like a building you'd see in New Orleans. It's kind of like very square, rectangly shaped, nothing too
That
fancy.
southern kind of gothic style.
Yeah, yeah. But the funny thing is because the original owner, Mr. Habersham, was such a loyalist, they have always, since his sons died, and it was taken over, always have flown the British flag out front.
Your kind of house. Well, that's nice to do that as a tribute to him, I suppose.
Here's where the haunting is occurring, get a little creepy. Like I said, after the 1930s, they made a tavern in the basement, kind of they didn't call them Airbnbs back then, more of a like a hotel type thing
Hmm.
upstairs. Obviously, as we would expect, there's going to be children, voices, apparitions, sort of thing.
Yeah, for that many young people to die so traumatically there, I imagine there's a lot of that energy there.
The most common, though, is actually Mr. Habersham himself.
Really?
Now, this is my kind of haunting, okay? Even right up to present day, his apparitions are to the point where folks that go into the bar restaurant, even currently, will actually think that they're sitting at the bar next to someone who, how you get those like reenactors?
Yes.
People think they're talking to reenactors. They just like turn away quick and turn back and he's gone. So, in that whole colonial period, dress, to the point, like I said, where people think that it's actually a reenactor.
So he's a very interactive ghost.
He is described as kind of think of it as like a barfly. He just wants to sit down, have a drink, and be kind of, who's here, who's hanging out, what's going on, you want to chat?
Interesting. I'm surprised considering the legend has it that he took his own life in the basement, which is where the bar is, right?
It is, but maybe it's him not being able to let go, but coming to peace with the whole my kid picked the wrong side kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe he was momentarily distraught and now he's happier, I guess. I don't know. Interesting.
But here's where the kids make it creepy. There's like a bathroom in the tavern, like, restrooms in the tavern part in the basement, and then there's
Huh.
there's restrooms upstairs. They do not allow patrons to use the ladies' room in the basement
Why not?
because as kids would, they like to play pranks and things of that nature. They lock women in the stalls and actually lock the whole bathroom to the point
No.
where they've actually dismantled the locks from the doors, and somehow people still get stuck in the stalls or stuck in the actual bathroom area
What?
itself, to the point where they don't allow patrons to use the ladies' room in the basement.
No, that's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Isn't that funny?
That's fantastic.
They have also spotted a female ghost on the second floor, kind of sobbing and very upset, like you're like a lady in white,
Right.
to the point where they will actually, if patrons say that they've heard things or whatever, once they say, I think there was someone trying to get in my room, or, I heard someone, trying to open my door handle while I was sleeping. There is a code they actually use that's, the upstairs is all clear, kind of the It's not a real threat. It's just the ghost playing pranks.
Really? So they have a code to let
The staff actually have a code because, like, this is apparently a super active place. But like I said, visually, it is the guy that people see the most. But as far as is sounds and creepy weird things, it's more like a lady and a kid. And I never really kind of got the story of the lady, but as you can imagine, being in that part of the country, from the late 1700s on, there were also rumors that there were slave children, and slave adults, at that location. So maybe that's what the crying woman is. But I never really kind of got the story on her.
wow.
But imagine just being like, oh, I'm going to go out to dinner. Oh, hey, can I use the restroom? Wait, I can't get out. Wait, I can't get out.
I can't even. That's wild. And it's mischievous children ghosts that do that to the
Right,
point
right.
where, and it happens so much that they can't even allow people to use that bathroom anymore. That's amazing. We need to go there.
And I guess sometimes, depending on what's going on or what time of year, the main entrance, the doorway can actually be slanted, like a doorway is kind of square and your door
Sure.
shuts. Certain times a year, this is another thing I didn't really find more information on, but most of the sightings, of the man are from October to March. And between October and March is when the door is like the doorway itself is slanted. But then from March to October, the doorway is a perfect 90-degree square again.
Interesting. Well, that's weird. I wonder if it has anything to do with it. That, doorways between here and there, maybe. I wonder if that has anything to do
Well,
with it.
there are theories that about, the wood expanding and shrinking back in because, it's like hot as all get out in Savannah, Georgia in the
Sure.
summertime. And then let's face it, this was built in 1771. What the hell do you expect?
Right? Good gracious.
So we're creating a bucket list here.
Right?
I want to check out this pink house because, unlike your story, I totally want to fuck around and find out and use the downstairs bathroom.
I absolutely do. I mean,
Fun.
that sounds pretty interesting. Not only does the
Fun.
guy,
That sounds
yeah,
fun. Just say it.
okay, it sounds fun because mostly because it sounds like the children ghosts are just mischievous. It's not like some horrific, terrible thing. They're kind of playing pranks. Yeah, that sounds fun. I can handle that.
I
And
mean, you do have the sobbing lady, but then you got the guy who just wants to drink and chat.
yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to have a nice chat with the original owner, dressed in his looking like reenactment garb, that would be freaking cool. I would do that. I'd sit there and have some whiskey sours and, chat it up with what's his name?
Habersham.
Abersham.
Until you have one too many whiskey sours and you blink and the fucker's gone.
That would be so epic. I would love that. I would
I'd be
love
like,
that.
wait a minute, was I just talking to a ghost or did they put way too much Jack Daniels in this? I can't
Right?
determine this at the moment.
Not sure. That would
But
be pretty amazing. I would absolutely love to fuck around and find out on that one.
what this story actually did is it sparked me to find that I didn't realize how haunted Savannah, Georgia is as a whole.
Oh, I imagine.
I'm actually going to check out some locations for future episodes, but like, holy mackerel, it's pretty haunted down there.
Yeah, the whole South I is just crawling with ghosts, and a lot of these old, antebellum towns, cities and towns are just there's so much history there, really bad history, and a lot of stuff happened. And as we know, places that are sites of
Trauma.
extreme events and yeah, trauma tend to hold on to pretty wild energy. So I would not be surprised.
And a lot of these locations, especially on the East Coast, were tied into the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, just kind of.
Yeah, the history. I mean, even now, these places are nexuses, maybe where people can feel energy, and a lot of them tend to be sites where a lot of hauntings happen or a lot of unusual paranormal activity.
If we have any listeners from Georgia, I want to hear some stories because, like I said, I just feel like I just came on a treasure trove of ghostiness down there. like I said, I guess I just didn't realize how haunted Savannah as a whole is. And this was just kind of tip of the iceberg. It kind of ghost wise, haunted wise, paranormal wise, kind of had a very New Orleans feel.
Ooh, I love that. I love Georgia. I've loved going through Georgia. Anytime I've been down there, it is a beautiful place. And it is one of those places where you kind of feel a vibe. You know, you go into Savannah and you feel that vibe. It's like the history, the past.
Different. It's different.
Yeah, it's almost like the past is right there for you to reach out and touch, that it's so much closer there. The past feels closer there than in other places.
Well, at the old pink house, it might just reach out and touch or lock you in the bathroom.
Or lock you in the bathroom. Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us for episode 61 of the Stoned Witches Hour. I hope you have enjoyed our ghostly, ghouly haunts this evening. Join us next week for episode 62. And check out our other podcast, Back on the Broomstick, for all your witchy pleasures.
Oh, I can't wait for you to just tell me about your great weed next week.
I am working my way down all 9 of these. I'm about at number 6 at this point. Got some Jack Hare going. So I still have a lot of pot. I'm going to be puffing for a while this evening. So I hope you all stay high and stay happy, because I'm going to.
Keep it spooky.